Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I have been down in Atlanta all week. It's now Thursday. I didn't feel confident in the Wi-Fi in my hotel room, so I'm going to do a show today and tomorrow, and then I will be done for the week, and I'll be back with you on Monday. I have managed to outrage Canada. We will discuss what I have said to trigger our good friends to the north. We have got a lot of things to get to, but I want to start with go to sportsbookreview.com. Make sure you get the best possible gambling odds for college football and the NFL. It's not very far away now. Let me give you the rundown. Jimmy G, dating a porn star. This is not what you want to see from your franchise quarterback if you are the San Francisco 49ers, especially not dating a 41-year-old porn star. To her credit, she did win the best MILF scene in America in 2015. Nick Saban blames the media for controversy surrounding Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts. Disney beats Comcast for Fox. And SEC Media Days in Atlanta. I'll give you a recap of the past 3 days of doing my show from down there. But we have much to get to. We start, by the way, also, get your mortgage hooked up. Make sure that no matter who you're dating, whether it's a porn star, a regular girl, a guy, a girl, get your financial house in order. Get the best possible deal you can. Wipe out all your credit card debt. Go to my friend at the Home Loan Expert, Ryan Kelly. That's at the Home Loan X on Twitter. TheHomeLoanExpert.com on the internet. My good friend, Ryan Kelly, will hook you up. All right, here's the story. This is from TMZ, which has only the biggest and most important news to report. 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo definitely appreciates a woman with experience because he went on a dinner date Wednesday night with one of the biggest porn stars in the world. 26-year-old Jimmy G and Kiara Mia. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name incorrectly. You porn savants can let me know. Kiara Mia, I think, hit up Avra Restaurant in Beverly Hills where they walked in arm in arm and toasted with wine together at the dinner table. At the end of the date, the two walked to a waiting car together. Jimmy G had a big smile on his face, and Kiara's Instagram account might explain why. She said they were at the Four Seasons Hotel in Beverly Hills. What time is it when she pulls the scrunchie off her wrist to put her hair up? Date night. She posted a picture from the Four Seasons. You might be familiar, says TMZ, with Kiara's work. She starred in a Keeping Up with the Kardashians porn spoof back in 2015. She also graced the covers of such porn classics. And by the way, if there is, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, I don't know the answer. She was on Cougars Gone Wild 2, which you definitely had to see Cougars Gone Wild 1, or you had no idea what was happening in part 2. It's one of those sequels that you have to make sure you see the original first, because you don't know why they went wild unless you see the first one. And she was in Bra Busters 4, which is one of my favorites, not as popular as Bra Busters 3, which I thought was the Scorsese of the Bra Busters oeuvre. She's also been nominated for a bunch of AVN awards over the years, including MILF Performer of the Year in 2015. Now, I'm asking you guys for this, and I'm a little bit nervous about the links that you're going to send me. Is there a page? I tried to go onto IMDb, and my guess is there's too many movies that she has been in. Is there a page that lists every porn movie that a porn star has been in and is accurate? I do not know. I'm not an expert on that. I figure one of you degenerate porn obsessives probably knows and goes around and tracks your favorite porn stars and makes sure you never miss one of their movies at 4 minutes at a time. You got to watch all those viewings. I want you to let me know because I'd actually love to see the entire list of movies that she has been in, because I'll tell you this right now. My Friday radio show is done. Like, as soon as I saw this story, I just got back from driving up from Atlanta. When I pulled into the house and I checked to see what stories I had missed on Twitter, and I saw that Jimmy G had taken a porn star to a restaurant in Beverly Hills and that they were staying in the Four Seasons together, I was like, boom, Friday show done. Other people are going to be like, who do you think is going to win the British Open? I'm doing 3 hours taking phone calls. Should you be concerned if you're a 49er fan and your 26-year-old $100 million quarterback is taking out the 41-year-old 2015 nominee for MILF of the Year and doing it in public? Now, let me kind of break this down from a perspective. I'm a little bit troubled by this, okay? I was trying to think in my head, I don't care if Gronk chases around porn stars. I don't care if Le'Veon Bell, and I'm just throwing out offensive stars, right? I don't care, and I'm not saying they bang porn stars. We actually know that Gronk, of course, bangs porn stars. I don't care if the best running back in the league, Le'Veon Bell. I don't care if the best wide receiver in the league, who I probably think is Julio Jones when he's healthy. I don't care what any other position on the football field does. But if I'm going to invest $128 million in Jimmy Garoppolo, you can't take a porn star out to a Beverly Hills restaurant. You can sleep with whoever you want. But to me, if you're going to go out to a Beverly Hills restaurant, remember when LeBron James got caught with Al Pacino and he got caught with Leonardo DiCaprio, and it was so readily apparent that he wanted everybody to know that all three of them were going out to dinner? My position on this is pretty straightforward. I am a E or F list level celebrity, right? I get nervous about going out to dinner and having a normal conversation when the tables are close together because people will tweet me things that I said at dinner. For instance, I was out to dinner recently with my wife, and we were talking about my 7-year-old making the Little League All-Star game. When I finished dinner, I got back home, I get into bed, I check my mentions, and somebody says, hey, I was sitting close to you at dinner. I was nervous. I didn't want to come up and say hi, but congratulations on your son for making the Little League All-Star game. I'm not a big fan of going out to dinner where you don't have like your own table. I'm a steakhouse guy, right? When I was negotiating my new radio deal, my bosses came into Nashville to go out to eat with me. And I said, okay, let's go out to a steak restaurant where you're the only person who can hear you is a waiter. Because I believe that everything that you say at the dinner table immediately gets grabbed by the waiter. They may or may not know me, but if I was super famous like Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't want people to be hearing what I say, right? I don't want every word that I say to be easily understood. So, my theory on Jimmy Garoppolo here is this. You are a single guy. You're entitled to date and sleep with whoever you want. I definitely question your judgment as the leader of my franchise if you took a 41-year-old porn star out to a restaurant in Beverly Hills and allowed her to post about the interaction on Instagram. She has things to gain here. You have absolutely nothing to gain if you are Jimmy Garoppolo. Sleep with whoever you want. Have as much fun as you possibly want. But to me, you should not, it should be like the equivalent of going out to a restaurant with a girl if you're that famous and you're doing it in Beverly Hills, by the way. They're not in the middle of nowhere in Montana. They're not in the middle of nowhere in like some rural resort. They are going out together in Beverly Hills, okay? When you do that, you are basically signaling to the entire world, hey, here's who I'm dating. I'll give you this as an example. I bet every single guy and probably several women who will listen to this, all right, I guarantee you that at some point in time, there have been people out there who you have hooked up with or dated that you would never introduce to your parents, right? There is a difference between somebody that you might hook up with in private and somebody that you would bring to Thanksgiving dinner. There is no way on earth that Jimmy Garoppolo is bringing a 41-year-old MILF porn star to whoever is throwing Thanksgiving dinner at the Garoppolo household. There is a difference between hooking up with a porn star and doing it in such a public fashion that everybody can see you're doing it. One of two things is at play here. Either Jimmy Garoppolo just broke up with a girlfriend and he hates her, and he's trying to find the most detestable person imaginable so she can see what he is doing since he has broken up with her. And he's like, hey, screw you. I'm going out with 41-year-old porn stars now. Or he lacks the judgment to understand that going out with a 41-year-old porn star in Beverly Hills and staying with her at the Four Seasons is going to draw a ton of attention. Jimmy Garoppolo is an incredibly good-looking, 100-millionaire, 26-year-old starting quarterback in the NFL. He can sleep with whoever he wants to. He can also dictate the rules of engagement when it comes to sleeping with porn stars. He could easily say to her, hey, do you want to hang? Here are the rules. We're going to order room service at the Four Seasons, and we're going to have sex here, and you can't go on Instagram and post about it, but I'm a big fan of your work. All right? Easily, he can dictate that relationship. If you are the front-facing CEO of the football team, you cannot take a 41-year-old porn star out to dinner. Now, I'll make a limited exception if the girl had been like 28 and she was a former porn star. I don't think you can judge somebody for the decisions they make when they're really young Maybe at one point she wanted to be a porn star, and she has since moved into other arenas, right? I legitimately 100,000,000% am questioning everything I thought I knew about Jimmy Garoppolo and everything about the 49ers giving him $128 million based on him being in a public relationship with a 41-year-old porn star. We're not even talking about a porn star his own age. We're talking about a woman who is 15 years older than him. And I get it. In the past, there have been undoubtedly tons of quarterbacks who have had women throwing themselves at them like crazy. But there's a difference between who you have a public relationship with and who you have a private relationship with. And I don't care who you're the quarterback of. This could be any quarterback in the NFL. If I find out that Deshaun Watson or Marcus Mariota or Tom Brady's the same age as this woman, so I wouldn't feel as bad about that. But you can't go out and pull this off, all right? It makes me legitimately question his decision-making and whether I have given way too much credence to about 12 games that he's played in his entire career. If the guy was older, nobody would say anything about the woman. I disagree. I think if Tom Brady broke up with Giselle, just think about this. If Tom Brady broke up with Giselle and the next girl you saw him out in public with was a 41-year-old porn star, I think everybody would lose their minds. They would talk about how Tom Brady was in the middle of a midlife crisis. They would all say maybe Bill Belichick knew what he was talking about when the TB12 method. Maybe the TB12 method needs to include penicillin shots now. There would be a lot of questions about Tom Brady if he suddenly went out with a 41-year-old porn star. There would be a ton of questions if Peyton Manning broke up with his wife and he doesn't even play in the NFL anymore. And if Peyton Manning, the next time you saw him, was out with a 41-year-old porn star. To me, this is about not understanding what it's like to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. First of all, you're in Beverly Hills. There are TMZ cameras everywhere. There's not a place you could have gone to be more noticeable than taking a porn star out to dinner in Beverly Hills. That's troubling to begin with. Either, again, he's trying to make sure that everybody knows he's dating a 41-year-old porn star, or he wasn't smart enough to understand that everybody was going to see him dating a 41-year-old porn star. Now, here's what's interesting. I actually just saw Jimmy G this offseason in March. If you remember, when I was out for the NCAA tournament, I was staying at the Palazzo in Las Vegas, and Jimmy G is there with a girl that everybody is reporting is his serious girlfriend. Totally normal-looking girl, gorgeous, of course, around the same age as him. My bet is he's suddenly broken up and he's gone off the deep end, and now he is dating porn stars. I'm going to have to put up a poll question. Again, I don't care about any other position. I'm not even sure that I care about any other sport. But at the quarterback position, you are held to a higher standard. You got to keep this secret if you really want to date a porn star. And I legitimately question how anybody could make the decision to date a porn star. I just want to poll you guys right now. Everybody on Facebook, everybody on Periscope. Pause for a second. If you were as good looking as Jimmy Garoppolo, and if you were making over $100 million a year, understand that probably every woman in America is theoretically a dateable proposition for you. There is not a woman alive who, when they meet Jimmy Garoppolo, wouldn't think, my God, he's incredibly good looking, and also, wow, he's a 100-millionaire, and also, he is a starting quarterback in the NFL. So all of those factors at play. She is outkicking her coverage by a massive amount. 41-year-old porn stars on the tail end of their career are a dime a dozen. Jimmy Garoppolo might be the best-looking pro athlete in America, and he's a 100-millionaire. So, if you were Jimmy Garoppolo, would you date, take out in public a 41-year-old porn star so that everybody could know you were with her? Yes or no? I want your yes or your no. Like, look at all these reactions, okay? I'm not even saying he can't have a relationship with her, okay? Everybody is saying no. Nobody is saying yes. Okay, on top of that question, and again, you can comment in here as well. On top of you saying no, don't you also, let's pretend you're John Lynch. Let's pretend you're the owner of the San Francisco 49ers. Be honest. If you were the owner of this team or if you were the GM, wouldn't you question the decision-making of your quarterback for dating this girl in a public fashion. Again, I'm not saying you can't sleep with her. I'm not even saying you can't sneak around with her. I'm just saying you can't go public at a Beverly Hills restaurant so that everybody sees her. So, pretend you are the GM. Pretend you are the owner. Would you be nervous about investing $120+ million in this guy and seeing this? I would be incredibly nervous. I would be way incredibly nervous about this. I don't even think it's overreacting. I'm telling you right now, if I'm a 49ers fan, this is the first sign I've ever seen that Jimmy Garoppolo may not be ready for prime time. And again, this is surprising to me because everybody talked about how Jimmy Garoppolo learned from Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the king of keeping his private life private. I don't think it's that hard to be a single guy and be able to keep the girls that you're dating private. He could have taken this girl anywhere in the country, right? And again, there are other guys that have done this, and I wouldn't have cared. If Gronk was dating a 41-year-old former nominee for MILF of the Year, I'd be like, that's totally what I expect Gronk to be doing, right? If anybody else on a football team other than the quarterback did this, but if you tell me like tomorrow Marcus Mariota is going to take out a 41-year-old porn star, I'm not confident in him anymore. If Jameis Winston did it, my God, can you imagine Jameis Winston coming off of the sexual assault charges? Can you imagine if suddenly he rolled into a Beverly Hills restaurant with a 41-year-old porn star? Like, that's the kind of decision-making that I would expect to see from Jameis Winston. And even he is not dumb enough to do this. So, he would eat the W indeed. I got to tell you, this is a ridiculous decision by Jimmy Garoppolo. First time I've ever questioned whether the 49ers may have made a bad decision. Remember, there's lots of quarterbacks out there that have looked good for 8, 10, or 12 games. What maintains your status as a great quarterback is whether or not you're willing to put in the work and the energy and the effort to get better and better. Tom Brady, a Peyton Manning, where you're just a student of the game. You spend all your free time chasing wins, not chasing porn stars. And by the way, you should never, ever have to chase a porn star. They should be chasing you. I don't blame the porn star here. She outkicked her coverage. The reason this is a story is because Jimmy Garoppolo is with a porn star, not because an attractive girl is with Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, any questions that you guys have about Jimmy Garoppolo and the porn star, I will be happy to talk about. We definitely need to get her on the show. That's a genius idea. I look over every now and then at the comments, and sometimes you guys have genius ideas. Somebody tag me, dangerous to phrase, tag me alongside her on Twitter, and I will definitely go in and I will invite her on the show to come on as a guest on Outkick and talk about her dinner in Beverly Hills with Jimmy Garoppolo. I got to tell you, that would be a golden interview to break down. Zero doubt at all about it. Again, her name is Kiara Mia, and she went out to Avra. I didn't even realize that Jimmy Garoppolo is still only 26 years old. Okay. Do I think he'll do it again? I don't know. I would bet he probably got a call from the 49ers. I think if I'm not mistaken, didn't Gronk have Instagram pictures up with a porn star and the Patriots were upset about it and he had to basically end the relationship? Not that Gronk was in a really serious relationship to begin with, but I think they made this situation kind of go away from Gronk. And so I think he got in trouble for that. I think he got in trouble. The Patriots basically went public and said, yeah, we don't want you publishing things. And that's Gronk. That's Gronk, who nobody thinks has any kind of like strong leadership or CEO qualities. Gronk's just a party machine. So this is a ridiculous story, I got to tell you. All right, a couple of other things I want to hit here. Saban. Nick Saban came out. Did you guys see this? Nick Saban came out yesterday, and of course, I was there in Atlanta for SEC Media Days, and Nick Saban blamed the media for all of the attention and focus on Tua Tagovailoa versus Jalen Hurts. And this is unbelievable, okay? Saban is so vintage Nick Saban. He pulls his starting quarterback at halftime of a game that 28 million people are watching. Then at SEC Media Days, when he's questioned about who is going to be his starting quarterback, he accuses the media of creating a story that otherwise would not exist. This is so vintage Saban, it made my head spin. You created this story that would have never existed but for your decision making here. Now, I think it's going to be Tua, but I want to say a couple of things that I think are important. One, Jalen Hurts deserves extreme credit for graduating on being on track to graduate in 2.5 years. I graduated from college in 3 years. Graduating from college in 2.5 years when you are playing football full time is a pretty substantial achievement, and Jalen Hurts deserves amazing amounts of credit for that, okay? What should happen now with the new transfer rules is that Jalen Hurts should stay at Alabama, finish out this year, and then at the end of the year, transfer and have 2 years remaining to play wherever in the country he wants to play. I'm telling you right now, that would make him probably the biggest quarterback transfer in demand in the history of college football. It would also allow him to continue to work for another year behind the scenes on his quarterback mechanics. And if something happened to Tua, remember Tua got hurt in spring practice, broke his hand, I believe, then you're the guy to be able to play the rest of the way. You are an incredible security blanket. It could turn into a really interesting decision if at some point in time you have to decide whether or not you are going to play. I don't know why in the world Jalen Hurts would walk away right now when he could graduate from Alabama and transfer without any penalty and not have to sit out any time at all. Okay? I think that is an amazing decision, and I think he should be complimented for having the opportunity to do that by getting his degree done in 2.5 years. But I still think Tua is the superior quarterback. I think he gives Alabama the ability to score more points. Now, let me say this. Alabama's schedule this year is so incredibly easy. I'm not sure it really matters until the end of the year with the SEC title game and the postseason who the starting quarterback for Alabama is. Because I think whoever starts, Jalen Hurts or Tua Tagovailoa, they would win. Because look, Saban and Alabama this year draw Tennessee and Missouri from the SEC East. They play against Louisville in the opener. Louisville without Lamar Jackson is a pale approximation of the team they would have been with him. And they couldn't even score consistently on SEC defenses with Lamar Jackson. How do you think they're going to do with Nick Saban's defense having months to prepare for a new guy? I just don't even see this year's schedule as remotely difficult. I think Alabama's going to go 12-0. They might get challenged by Georgia in the SEC title game. But I think this is one of the biggest and easiest schedules that Nick Saban has ever had at Alabama. So I don't even see the necessity of bringing in all these guys and having them compete that much, because I think in general, both of these guys could get the team to the postseason. Now, I think when you actually play against high-level competition, and you would certainly do it in the Iron Bowl, you would do it in the SEC title game, you might have to do it on the road at night in Baton Rouge, maybe against Mississippi State. Then you want the best possible quarterback, because I don't think Alabama's defense is going to be as good as it has been in the last years. So I think that as a result, you want to be peaking at the right moment. I think Alabama has won in the postseason in spite of Jalen Hurts instead of because of him. And I think ultimately most teams win because of their quarterback, not in spite of their quarterback. If anything, that's one of the most remarkable things about Nick Saban's tenure at Alabama. He's done it without ever having a great quarterback. He's done it without ever having a great quarterback at LSU, even though he recruited Jamarcus Russell. A.J. McCarron is just okay. He's not even good enough to be able to get the starting job at Buffalo and beat out Nathan Peterman and beat out Josh Allen. So Saban talking about there. I don't know if you saw this, a big deal. Disney has now beaten out Comcast for the rights to the 21st Century Fox assets minus Sky. It seems to me like there was some behind-the-scenes legal wrangling and maneuvering going on that has led to Disney beating out Comcast. Big addition, big win for Bob Iger. We'll see what happens. Who ends up buying all these 21, I believe it is, regional sports networks, which are a great business, turning off, I think, $1.8 billion a year in earnings. So this is a big story from the media perspective that I would encourage you guys to be following. And it looks like there's almost like a negotiated peace here. I would bet that Disney is going to step away and Fox is going to step away and let Comcast have Sky Broadcasting. And as a result, it appears that Bob Iger is going to get these Fox assets. So I do agree in some level that at least Comcast has driven up the prices of these assets for Fox, for Disney, so that they, in theory, could be able to bid in other cases and not have Disney able to pursue the same assets as them. All right, I just came back from SEC Media Days in Atlanta. I loved the idea that they did the SEC Media Days in Atlanta. I thought it was a really big deal to be able to move outside of Birmingham. I thought Atlanta lended legitimacy to the SEC. I think they're going to move it around. I think they're going to go to Texas. I think they'll come to Nashville. I think they will go to Missouri. I think they will go to Florida. They may even take it to New York City one year. I think this is an example of the SEC's continuing growth and aspirations. It's growing into a bigger and bigger entity. I will say this. Putting it all on television at times makes sitting there in person not as necessary. Back when I asked Tim Tebow if he was saving himself for marriage, I am telling you that I thought that was that was a massive story. Everything wasn't on television at that time. So that is, I think, a really cool event that they had in Atlanta. I hope everybody had a good time listening to the show. We had great shows on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'd encourage you to go download the Outkick the Coverage podcast. The reason why I did not do these shows, I drove down to Atlanta on Monday. I just drove back this morning on Thursday. Did not have good Wi-Fi, so I decided to do shows Thursday and Friday of this week. Lots to get to. Tomorrow should be a loaded, awesome show on Outkick the Coverage. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to hit. Good news coming. The news out there early this week hit on Monday morning. I didn't come on and discuss it, but I signed a 3-year radio extension for Outkick the Coverage, my radio show. Really excited about that. You'll have 3 more years of me hosting a morning radio show. So some of you who are in college right now, I'll take you all the way through college. We've already done 2 years now. I added 3 more years, and more good news coming. I can't get into all the other good news out there, but the book is going to be out in September. I'm excited about that. We're planning our first big event for the book, which I want to do in Knoxville at the Tennessee-Florida game. I think that's going to work out and be pretty awesome. That's September 22nd, I believe. I think we'll do a kickoff event that Friday at the Tennessee and Florida game in Knoxville. So that'll be very awesome. And then I'll be hopping around all over the country doing events. If you want to buy autographed copies of the book, which will be out in September, a lot of you are asking for that. You can go buy them on Outkick.com. Go to the store, and I will be signing up for those, and it should be very, very cool. A couple of other housekeeping things. Again, I would encourage you to go to sportsbookreview.com. Check out all the gambling odds. I'll be doing my gambling picks for the preseason. I'll do my SEC East and SEC West predictions for every team. That'll be up next week. I'm also going up to Washington, D.C. to speak at a Turning Point event on George Washington University's campus. That should be pretty cool. I'll be doing the show up from D.C. next week. And much more to get to, but I appreciate all of you. Thank you for coming out and hanging for the show. I apologize for not doing it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but you guys are great here. Appreciate the feedback on all the interviews that we did at the SEC Media Days. If you enjoyed them, I always say tag the people who came on as guests, and everybody will be glad to see that, because it definitely makes a difference when it comes to guests being able to see that a lot of people were listening to them. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll be doing the show again live tomorrow. Outkick the Show to make up for the fact that I took a few days off, couldn't get a good signal in Atlanta earlier this week. I appreciate all of you. DBAP boys and girls, my name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. Go to thehomeloanexpert.com. My guy Ryan Kelly, get hooked up. DBAP, but SBAP sometimes makes sense. I'm Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. Kisses. I'll see y'all.